Here we go again. What? Yes, says the totally white Canadian. Yay! I have hip hop in my blood. I could totally see myself at like a rap contest or some one of those things, you know, they do the rap battles, and I'd be like, "Hi, how is everybody tonight?" Shut up and rap. I can't.
So who are we?
I don't know. Who are we there, Dave? Who are we?
We're
tonight?
The Crafty Boys.
Really?
And this is our last show of 2017.
Yeah. That's right. Because that's how we roll. It's what the hell? Yeah. So it's episode 127, which conveniently falls on the 27th of December, and we have. Did we do a show last week? Did we do a show last week? Yeah, we did. No, did we do one 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. Who are you people? How'd you get in my house? We did the last episode we did was I'm gonna look it up because I don't remember because I've had 126, which we did on December 13th of 2017, and that was of course covering the Grinch by Bridge Brewing, which is a brewery out in North Vancouver. And we picked the beer back then. Dave, of course, has failed to get it, so that's okay because Dave's out of the show anyway. You won't see Dave ever again in 2018. But yeah, so for episode 127, the beer that I picked actually a number of weeks ago, I think this is probably in November that I actually bought this, is the coffee lager by...
You're wrong.
No, did I buy this more recently?
We bought this on December 1st at the Christmas craft beer
show. Oh, that's
show.
right. I was drunk then. So this is the Lighthouse Brewing Nightwatch coffee lager, which the peanut gallery here in the studio tonight doesn't like. I know it's a coffee lager. So Lighthouse Brewing.
How could she not like it? She hasn't tried it yet.
She hasn't tried it yet, and they're just arrogant beer drinkers. So this is according to the bottle, the information on the bottle, which of course in the brewery store is the only information you're really going to go by. Is the C doesn't have a 9 to 5 schedule, and neither does a lighthouse keeper. As long as there are boats in the water, a keeper is on duty and ready for action. The day doesn't end just because the sun went down. Nightwatch Coffee Lager is Lighthouse's ode to chaotic sleep schedules. A unique and delicious blend of crisp, refreshing lager and smooth locality make cold brew coffee create an irresistible flavor combination day or night. So, but before I open this, Dave, what did you get? And describe it as dramatically as I did, because if you don't, I will then therefore write you off as being a girl.
Wow. All right, then. No pressure. So I ended up, because for some reason, I don't even know if this bottle was available outside the show.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've seen it everywhere.
All right. Except, of course, where I am. Because I ended up getting Dawn Patrol.
Dawn Patrol.
Which
now
sounds
that's
cool.
Tofino. That's Tofino, yeah. Right?
That is Tofino. I was trying to remember if we have done this, because we
have not.
Know.
The only Tofino
thing.
The only Tofino brewing beer brewery that we did from Tofino was the Kelp Stout.
Yes.
Okay, right. But I've noticed something. You two have a coffee thing. You definitely have a coffee thing.
Right.
I would say it's only trumped by IPA things.
Right.
Because if we were to go back over the list, I would venture to guess, and if our master of data can fill us in on details here, I'm thinking, I don't know what, 6 or 7 coffees, at least.
Probably. But you know what? I'd like to you know what? Let's get into this after we do our pour and do a tasting, and then we're going to
open these mothers up. That's right. Okay. Alan, you are so on the ball.
So the Lighthouse Nightwatch Coffee Lager. Now, to be fair, Shane and I tried this at the Christmas craft beer show on December the 1st. It had just been bottled, I think, just a couple of days before that.
Yeah.
and it was really good. I described it at the time as giving the Bean Me Up Espresso Stout, which we did in show number 1.
All right, Peanut
Bungles
Gallery, your
Warlock.
beer is ready.
Give them a run for their money. Okay, so we're just going to do a pour. So unlike other coffee beers, this one is very light looking. Most of them are stouts or porters. This one is a lager, and you can see that from the hue. And the one thing about it is the flavor of the coffee really comes out. You can smell it. You smell like you're in a Starbucks.
I gotta say, the coffee does smell like you're in a Starbucks. Or the beer.
And the flavor is just like, it's like you're drinking a coffee.
Yep, you're basically drinking coffee and not beer. It's basically coffee that had beer somehow accidentally dumped into it.
It's like coffee suddenly had gamma rays put on it, and it became like this. It got mixed in with a vat
So
of like.
This coffee is like the Hulk's origin story. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. This is what I'm getting at. That this beer is, if coffee were Bill Bixby or Bruce Banner, not Bill Bixby.
I was gonna say Bill Bixby, rest his soul, of course, played Bruce Banner in the Ninja. Not in the Ninja. There's no ninjas in. There are no ninjas in the Hulk. I have never seen ninjas ever. For some reason, I have ninjas in the brain today. Like everything. Hey Shane, what do you want for dinner? Ninjas. What? Shut up. What the hell's wrong with you? I think I had a stroke. So you were saying there, Alan, before I described ninjas as being in this beer.
I can't remember what I was saying. Something like, just if this was if coffee were Bruce Banner, this would be the Hulk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dave, now you of course have accused us of Well,
let's hear what Dave thinks of his beer first.
Yeah. Loser.
Give me a minute. I like it. It's a little warm. I took it out of the fridge too early. But it's nice and smooth. I really dig it. This, unlike your guys, as you can see,
Dark,
is your standard. It's heavy duty. It's porter. Nice and smooth. I like it. And yes, the coffee is definitely the Hulk. Like, it gives your tonsils a whooping.
It does give your tonsils a whooping. It's actually, it's something that is
in a good way.
Yeah, this is coffee. This is coffee. See, I keep calling it coffee. This is beer that is that kind of beer that you'd want to have where it's really cold, and your furnace doesn't work, but your fridge does. So, I mean, yeah, it would get you through the night, and of course, you'd drink 4 or 5 of them, and it wouldn't matter whether or not you were awake. So, make sure you have a blanket when drinking this beer. Is essentially what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, it's overall. I mean, I think it's some people might think it's a little overpowering because of the flavor of the coffee, like how powerful it is. Where some of the stouts that we've had and some of those things are a little less than, they're available, they're yummy, but they are the strength of the flavors is actually kind of, weak in comparison to this beer. However, I don't know. I can't fault them for having beer that just tastes really strong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's actually because this is a lager, so normally the stouts or the coffee flavored beers we've had tend to be stout. So maybe that's the part that I'm not getting.
Could be. Okay, so now getting back to Dave's point before about accusing you and I of picking a lot of coffee flavored beers. I would agree with him. We do pick a lot of coffee flavored beers, but I think that is not so much because we necessarily like them, but because there's so many of them out there. Lighthouse isn't the only coffee beer that Lighthouse has produced. They've also produced another one in the past. Fogels the Warlock has one. Tofino has one. I saw one just recently that Parallel 49 has put out called Parallelogram. And the list goes on and on and on. There's so many different examples of coffee flavored beers out there, and everybody's trying something different. This one is cold pressed coffee, which is interesting because cold pressed coffee is not something I actually like. I tried it; it's very mellow flavor. It doesn't have the bite that I'm used to from a cup of coffee.
Now, a question about the way that you guys make coffee at home. Now, this is not coffee when you go out and buy stuff from wherever you want to buy it from. But the oh, by the way, look what I got for Christmas: Jedi Academy.
Nice.
But what? How do you guys make coffee? Are you guys like drip coffee maker guys? Like, how do you make when you're at home and you're like, I really need coffee? What do you do? What's the process?
Well, there's two ways that I make coffee. Okay. If it's just, a weekday and I'm in a rush before I go to work, I use my Bodum, a French press.
Right.
If it's a weekend and I got a little bit more time on my hands, I actually have something similar to like a mocha pot and make my coffee that way.
Mocha pot? What the hell's that?
So it's like an Italian thing. You put the water inside of a base, and then it's got like a little cup that you put inside of it that you put your coffee grounds into.
Okay, so it's a two-parter that you throw on the stove.
Exactly.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, and then the water boils, the steam kind of rises up through the coffee, and eventually it pours out the top into a top canister. It's sort of like a poor man's espresso maker.
Italian something. What's it called?
It's an espresso maker.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I do. Primarily the coffee that we make at home is through an espresso maker, which is the same thing you have. We actually have two of them. We have a small one, which we normally use, and we actually have a bigger one. I think the small one is 2 cups, I think, 2 cups. And then we have one that's bigger that I think is 4 or 6 or something. We rarely ever use that one because we tend to just stick to the smaller one. But the other one is the other way we make coffee is just using a French press like you do. So, sorry, Dave, how do you make coffee? If you although why do I not picture you as a coffee drinker? What is that? Just me?
No, you're kind of right. I'm not. I actually did get into it for a while, and I was drinking pretty regular, but stomach. So I had to give up drinking regularly. But I do occasionally still now, so I don't mind the occasional. But at home, I'm used to either the drip or a espresso maker, like one of those little home machines, right? That's got the little foamer dealy, and it's got the I'm not even sure what you'd call that. The cup with the handle on it that fits underneath, and the water gets put through in pressure, blah blah blah. So I've had both of those.
Okay.
I think I prefer the machine myself. I think I like the coffees you get out of it a little more than the drip. I think if you want good quality, you're not going to get it generally out of a drip machine.
Yeah, I don't dig drip coffee at all.
Yeah, I'm not much of a fan. I mean, I do drink. Sometimes I'll break down mainly out of nostalgia for doing like a Timmy's run. Although I have to admit, most of the time I have Tim Hortons coffee Tim Hortons at all. I usually do their steep tea thing, which I kind of enjoy better. But every once in a while, I walk in or run through a drive-thru and go, "Give me a double." And they know exactly what you want. So, but overall, I tend to sort of stick to the stovetop stuff. I don't think I had. Oh, actually, today I returned to Vancouver, of course, as you can tell. and we woke up at like 5 in the morning to get to the 6 a.m. boat, because because the boat was the boat is $39 for car driver coming back over if you go 6 a.m. or midnight. So we said, let's go tomorrow morning. We'll just get up early and whatnot, and we'll be in Vancouver by I think we got here at like 8:15 or something.
I bet the traffic was reasonable too at that time of day.
Well, aside from the little bit that that we ran into, I mean, just typical ferry traffic, but yeah, at that time of day, it's next to nothing. So because people are still working, it's a weekday, and we saw lots of people starting their commutes, but overall, it was just that much early, that bit early. And I suppose it's probably lighter right now because some people are probably on vacation for this week. This is that weird week where, I mean, it's even
Nobody
weirder
knows
this
what to
year.
do.
Yeah, like this is it, not to mention that Christmas Day and Boxing Day are like Monday, Tuesday. So you've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where some people are working. Obviously, where retail or whatever.
I swear, I mean,
places.
if you work in a place where that's open, like after Boxing Day through to New Year's, I mean, that's sort of like this no man's land. Like I'm on vacation this week, but where I work is functioning and people are working, at least they're trying to work, but there's so many other places that are closed that they can't really go about. It's not business as normal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me as well is my entire working career, since when I started working back in high school, this week has always been off. Like I've never actually had a job where I had to work. I think I think a minor exception is I used to work at a restaurant at the Oak Bay Rec Center. And
yes, I remember that.
I think there were a couple of years where I worked the levee, which is New Year's Day. So on New Year's Day, a levee essentially is people can show up. There's usually some sort of breakfasty like food, and wine specifically. I think there was a certain wine, mulled wine, or I can't remember. But essentially, yeah, it's a very British thing apparently, where people run around and do all kinds of cool things like that. So there is, and it's free. That's the big deal, is that it's actually a free thing. So you can actually go from location to location and visit different locations, and usually City Hall, that kind of thing. We did one for some reason. I think we did it on behalf of City Hall in Oak Bay. But anyway, so but otherwise, the rest of my entire career has been off. Like my jobs in working in IT have always been closed this week. When I went to university, I mean, this week has always been dead. So, so me running my own thing, I'm like, you know what? I'm continuing that, and I'm not working between, the Christmas Day to New Year's Day time, because I'm used to it, and also I mean, ultimately, I would say 99% of my clients are not working this week anyway. So, and also, I need time off from time to time. So, hell, screw you guys. I'm taking this week off. But I have to admit, today I'm actually running only on about 2 hours of sleep, two and a half, maybe at the most. So, I'm probably gonna fall down after this beer.
Probably.
But
hey,
yeah.
Is anybody else notice? Like Shane, are you noticing with this beer now that you're into it?
Yeah.
Do you still taste the coffee like you did before when we first cracked it open?
No, it's definitely tapering off a bit. Yeah,
it is tapering off. Yeah, I'm finding that as well.
But
how about you, Dave? On your beer, how's the coffee flavor holding up?
Actually, yeah, it has tapered off a bit. It has. I'm still noticing it a bit, but it's definitely not as clearly coffee.
I'm not noticing it at all now. I'm just tasting beer now.
Oh no, I'm still tasting coffee. I mean, the aftertaste. The other thing too is the aftertaste is really powerful. So it's definitely it's still there.
You know how sometimes I don't know if you guys ever go to Starbucks, but if you go into a Starbucks and you're waiting,
what?
Starbucks,
what?
Starbucks.
Don't knock Starbucks, man, because a
What's
certain
there?
individual who lives in the house I live in is very much a.
Anyway,
I got no beefs.
if you go to a coffee house, okay, like a real coffee house, not like Tim Hortons or anything like that, but a real coffee house, and you stand in line there for, even just 5 minutes waiting for your turn to order, and then you wait for your drink. When you step out of that building and you go back to work or whatever, you will notice that your clothes smell like coffee. That's the smell I got from this beer when we first started drinking it.
Really?
I'm not noticing that smell now. So either I'm like nose blind to it, or it has worn off.
I think it's probably worn off a bit.
Probably.
Well, I mean, as well, when you have an overpowering smell or overpowering taste, which of course, we smell what we're drinking, right? So this is very strong. So as time goes on, it's definitely going to taper off a bit, not because of the beer itself, but because it's just overwhelming, and it's the same thing, sip after sip. So
I'm going to give the Nightwatch by Lighthouse a thumbs up. Like, I had my opinion sold before we even opened this thing because I had already tried it.
Right.
But I think this one may beat the Bean Me Up Espresso Stout for as far as coffee beers go. I think this one beats it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm very surprised at the strength of the amount of coffee taste in this. So I'm giving it a thumbs up just because I like coffee stout beer, and now I can say that I also like coffee lager beer. So, but overall, I can't say it's terrible. I mean, it's definitely not going to be everyone's taste because there's some people out there, of course, that are not fans of coffee beer, or coffee flavored beer. So, but again, there's people that don't like pumpkin spice coffee. Could you imagine? Oh God. I remember the only other really successful beer infusion that had some flavor infusion to it was the Uncle Nutty's. Was that Parallel 49?
No, that was Dead Frog.
Dead Frog. Okay, so the Uncle Nutty's peanut butter stout, and we had that on the show, I think last
year.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
which is out again now. I have a bottle sitting over here, waiting.
Right. I tried to find one actually the other day and I couldn't find one.
So that's Parallel 49, eh?
No. It's
Dead Frog.
Dead Frog.
So
I'll have to keep my eyes peeled for that one.
I would recommend it because it is something that it's different. It's got something that's very different about it, where it has it doesn't take away from the beer flavor.
Yeah,
but it tastes like you're eating raw peanut butter.
You almost feel like you got to take your finger and scrape the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, like a lot of the time, like initially, I thought, oh God, that's going to taste horrible because it's going to be so incredibly powerful in taste. But I don't know what they've done, but they have made it so that it is flavorful, but not. I mean, it's like this. It's on the border of being overpowering to the senses and overpowering to beer in general. So, but it's still able to.
You know what I would like to try with that
Yeah.
Uncle Nutty's? Take that and a bottle of Phillips Longboat, which is a double chocolate porter.
Yeah, which I don't remember as being that strong though.
It is. Well, it's got quite a chocolatey flavor to it. And mix them and see what you get. Like half and half.
That's actually not a terrible idea. What do you think, Dave?
I like the sound of that.
Cool.
I do.
I think I might try that.
I don't know if I'd be able to get Uncle Nutty's though. That would be my thing.
You should be.
I remember last year I could not get my hands on it. Nutty's. And
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that I wasn't able to get my hands on that one.
All right. Well, that's something for a later show.
Yeah, so, Dave. God.
So it was Christmas.
So yeah, what'd you guys do for Christmas? What is the highlight of your Christmas this year? Alan and I, of course, did an incredible job getting through a 2-4.
Yeah. The advent calendar leading up to Christmas there, which is now done. You know what? It's kind of weird because I mean I like beer. I don't drink it every day, and it's weird for me come December when we do the advent calendar because suddenly I'm drinking a beer every day, and then when the 25th hits and that advent calendar is done, it's like, well, what do I do now?
My life has no meaning.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go back into my rut of drinking, you know, like 1 or 2 a week, and that'll be that. But I did manage to find some beers to add to my collection. I did find a 2014 vintage Thor's Hammer.
Really? Tell me more.
I have down in my garage. I also found one of the last bottles in Victoria of the Herminator's 30th barrel aged edition, which we did on the show a few weeks back.
Oh, really?
That was
so. I've got that in storage. And then I guess we're gonna have to do our old cellar dweller soon.
Yeah, I actually was looking at my cellar dweller the other day, and when I was in the beer store I guess on Christmas Eve actually. There was some guy standing there looking at all the craft beers, and I said, "Dude, you have to have this beer. You have to. It's cellar dweller is something you need to have." And he got it right away. He's like, "Nah, I'm doing it now." So yeah, I gotta say it was a very, very interesting experience to actually go through and talk about beer in the beer store, which is something I don't get to do a whole lot.
Now, Shane and I, we also went to a party when he was here. And at that party, they opened up a few different barley wines that we got to sample.
That's right.
And they were interesting. So there were some Mill Street ones from, I believe, 2012 and 2013 that we sampled. And those were very good. I don't know they're as good as Thor's Hammer, but they were still pretty good.
It was oh my god, what is the actual brewery that did that beer?
Mill Street.
Was it Mill Street? Really?
Mill Street in Toronto.
Okay. So have we ever had it here ever?
No.
Yeah, I don't think we've had Mill Street at all.
Oh yes, we have done a Mill Street beer. We did the vanilla porter.
Oh, okay.
Which I remember being pretty tasty.
It was very tasty.
What so you've had that, okay.
And then we did another barley wine by some other brewery. I don't remember what.
I don't remember.
Wasn't that with the old Celdor? Because we got it and then we said, okay, we're gonna wait for a year.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We went out and grabbed a different one.
When we were at a party, we
it.
tried another one aside from the Mill Street ones, and I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty good too. It wasn't an old cellar dweller though.
I'm trying to find in our spreadsheet here. I can't find it. It's probably one of the episodes I haven't got to yet. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I cannot find the beer from last year that I thought would be kind of cool to do, but we haven't, or sorry, the one that we haven't done. Yeah, I can't find it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Dave, being that you are off in the, I don't know, middle of nowhere, what would you say was the highlight outside of beer of what your Christmas was all about.
I guess just getting to see my brother. He was up for a few days.
Right?
Yeah, that would be my highlight for sure.
Now, this is the brother that you've tried to kill on several occasions, right? Like, I've actively tried to murder him.
Only a couple times.
Okay, yeah, I'm just making sure that we understand the relationship dynamic.
We're all good now. He totally gets it. So, you know.
Okay. So, Alan, your highlight, I'm assuming, is you didn't try and kill your brother who doesn't exist, but
Yeah.
you tried to off some of your children, or
No.
You didn't try and kill any of them.
No.
Okay.
No. Probably my highlight is just getting together with family and going to see the new Star Wars.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. So we can't talk about Star Wars because somebody we know, what's his name? Dave hasn't seen it yet.
What?
So, okay, non-spoiler impressions. Thumbs only.
Non-spoiler impressions?
Okay.
Non-spoiler impressions, thumbs only.
Luke Skywalker.
Thumbs only?
Thumbs only. We're
Okay,
going very minimalist here. So let's see those thumbs, boys.
Thumbs, like, we can't say anything?
Can't say anything. Thumbs only.
No, I don't know if I agree with that. I can't give thumbs.
You can't give what? Are you thumbless? What the hell?
Yeah, it's a little bit too more complex than that. I can't in good conscience just give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Okay.
There's elements that I could give a thumbs up on, and other elements that I can't.
Okay. So you have a complicated relationship, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
You can ask me whether I liked it or didn't like it, and I will tell you that the answer isn't as simple as that.
Okay, Shane?
Yes. I agree with Alan. I cannot just summarize it in a thumb. I mean, it's Luke Skywalker's in it. Princess Leia's in it.
Oh man,
Jar Jar Binks. Oh wait, shh.
That would be awesome. That'd be a highlight for me.
Actually, what's really funny? What's incredibly funny is on Netflix. Dave, have you got Netflix? Have you access to Netflix?
I have Netflix, yes.
There was a television show or a series of 4 episodes that I guess were produced by Netflix, but it doesn't really matter. Called The Toys That Made Us. And it's a review in detail of different toy lines that were made during the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
Wow.
For people of our generation. So,
and of course, Star Wars kicked it all off.
Well, yes. Exactly. Star Wars, of course, is the first episode. Barbie is the second. He-Man is the third, and G.I. Joe is the fourth episode. But it's not lost on every single toy maker that the only reason that they did these things was because of the Star Wars phenomenon. Now, the big component of the Star Wars stuff is that they talk at length about how excited they were for the toy makers were excited for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, because they had not made any brand new Star Wars toys since 85, I think, Alan. Or no, maybe it's a bit later. Might have been later in the 80s. But anyway, so there was like a good 10-year gap of no brand new merchandise being made because George Lucas was like, we made the toys and I'm not doing anything else right now. So, we're done for now. And so the toy makers were like, oh my God, we made all this money. And now suddenly we're going into a period where we're going to have to make something new. But then of course the new episode was being made, and they were all excited. And every single interviewee, as soon as episode 1 hit the theaters, was, "Oh my God, what have we done?" Because of Jar Jar Binks. The shows. One guy who worked, I think, at Hasbro was like, it was an economics seminar. That's what that film was. There's nothing in it that toy makers go, yay, and look at all the Jar Jar crap we can make. And there was actually one guy they interviewed who was responsible for every single Jar Jar toy that was made out of Kenner. So it was kind of funny. He's like, I made this, I made that. I'm sad to say that I'm the one responsible for all of the toys that were made that featured Jar Jar Binks. And yeah, so it was hilarious because they thought their careers were over. They thought, oh my God, we spent a whole bunch of money to make sure that we maintain the license here at Kenner, and we've fucked up. So they were a little happier with the Clone Wars and that program and things like that. But I think in 2008 that started, I seem to remember. Alan, did you ever watch it?
Which?
The Clone Wars? Not the films. I'm talking about the cartoon series.
I did watch them, but I watched them later on Netflix. I didn't watch them when they first came out.
Yeah, I'm only about halfway through because I got lazy, but I'm also behind on Doctor Who, so what can I say? The show, of course, continued with Rebels, I think, which featured, I think, the first glimpses of not a BB-8, but of that style of robot or droid.
It was supposed to be a pretty good one, actually. The Rebels is supposed to be
Rebels is very good.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it at all, but I understand it's really good. So
better than Clone Wars?
It's different from Clone Wars. I will say that there are Clone Wars characters that show up in Rebels.
What is the timeline for Rebels?
Just before, it's almost running concurrent, just before Rogue One. So actually, in Rogue One, in the Battle of Scarif, there is the Ghost. You can actually see the Ghost, which is the ship from Rebels, in the battle. Okay. And then you hear, like, in Rogue One, at the Yavin base there, you can hear over the loudspeaker, Captain Syndulla, please report to wherever. Captain Syndulla is the one of the main characters in Rebels.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, Rebels is actually a really cool show, and I'm interested to see how it will go. And I can't say this because it's gonna maybe give something away or not give something away. I was looking forward to a callback to Rebels in the new Star Wars movie.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
So, question for you guys. Have you heard anything more about the live action TV show? Anything?
I haven't heard anything for a long time.
I have recently. It's going ahead, but there's no details other than that.
I wouldn't doubt it because the sale of around the same time that George Lucas was selling everything, that was around when the TV program was announced. So it would not surprise me if the focus changed to the films. And they not forgot. They just kind of said, okay, we'll put this stuff on hold till the movies get started. So, yeah. So I don't know. I've heard zero. So, Alan, you know way more than I do.
I've read very recently that there is a live action television series coming, but there are no other details
Now, what would you like to see from that?
Well,
show?
I think what I would like to see, I don't know what I would like to see. I think what will happen is something that doesn't involve any characters that we're already aware of.
So something totally brand new.
Totally brand new, you know, a different sort of aspect of what's happening in that universe, that maybe is not directly influenced by the movies or any canon, you know, that's already going on. So some that doesn't involve Jedi or the Force or the Sith or anything like that.
Okay. What about you, Dave?
I think I'd want something pretty much 180 degrees different. Because to me, Star Wars is very much about that stuff. So I would miss it if it wasn't there.
What is that stuff?
Jedi, Sith, all that sort of big, if you will, stuff.
Then you're gonna hate the new movie.
I don't know. I
because it's from fucking it's midichlorians this, midichlorians that.
Wonderful. I am not going in with expectations, really. I'm kind of expecting to think it's a pile of steaming shit, quite honestly.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Managed to do with the last.
Okay, it's not a pile of
it definitely is not. It is not a pile of steaming shit, as you put it.
It's overall it's a very, very, very good movie. There are some weak plot points though that I'm having difficulty getting past.
Right.
Well, let's put it this way. Mark Hamill has been very vocal online about how he was not pleased with how his character was treated in this film.
Okay.
I think mainly because, well, I mean, I just read this article earlier today, or maybe later yesterday at this time. He basically said that the choices that were made for the character of Luke Skywalker were not the choices he would have made, and he told the director so. He was like, screw you, dude. But then turned around and said, but I'm an actor, I'm a professional, and I'll do what you want me to do. But I'm telling you right now that I think you're an idiot and this is stupid and I shouldn't do this as a character. Does it hurt the film? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think that ultimately the director and the writers had a particular vision for what Luke Skywalker was going to do in this film. Mark Hamill as the performer was not too pleased with it. I would hope that they would have listened to him a little more, but apparently not.
Which is a bit weird given the man's freaking history.
Well, exactly. You'd think so. But in the filmmaker's defense, now here's the thing
about Disney here.
Without no. This has nothing to do with Disney. I'm just saying that as a film, I sort of put this film in the realm of like Star Trek Generations, where regardless of what you think about the plot, regardless of what you think about what actually happens in the film, the intent behind it by the people actually making the movie are trying to break away from the stuff that happened before, and they're trying to say, all right, now is time to do our own thing, where you have to have that torch handing off thing. And they very much did that at Generations, where they were trying to, I mean, Generations itself it has great moments in it. It has some really cool ideas in it, but it's not the best film in the Star Trek realm. But in this particular instance, I think that this film, because of the previous film, because of some of the backlash being like, you've just redone the bloody first movie that ever came out for Star Wars, which is true. They were living in nostalgia, and they knew that they needed to do something to recapture the imagination of those who enjoyed the films rather than having the prequel bad taste in their mouths. this film, I think, it's not 100%. They haven't been 100% successful in my opinion, but I think that they've done a good enough job to say, okay, we've had the nostalgia part, we've re-energized people's interest in this franchise. Now we're actually going to take the story and make it our own. And I think that actually, would you agree, Alan, that the character of without spoiling it, but the character of not Darth Maul, of oh my god, what's his name?
Ren.
Kylo Ren, actually in his dialogue kind of says what I think the writers are thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, about it's, and this won't spoil anything for you, Dave, but essentially the Kylo Ren character makes a comment a couple times about how the past really needs to die in order to move on. You need to kill it if you need to, right? So he's of course referring to other people and situations that he's in, but I think from the perspective,
it's a message to the audience too.
Yeah, so that this film is not your everyday, normal, used to what you've been seeing on the screen Star Wars film. This is some of that, but we also need to acknowledge that we have new characters, we have new situations. It's in the future. It's not, we're not back at the Battle of Yavin 4 still. We're way beyond that. So you need to actually, kind of recognize that some evolution has to happen. We can't keep rehashing the old shit.
And having said that, there was a couple of scenes, one in particular, actually, that was kind of surprising to me in that they brought back characters that we haven't seen in a while. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was trying to think. I'll have to think about that one, but I have a suspicion that I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully by the time we record again, in theory, next week, I will have been able to see it, and we can just.
Well, I hope so, because it is totally worth checking out. Because I don't think there's much beyond that you can. I can't spoil it. There's nothing I can spoil to really. Oh, they're leaving. Are you taking the beer with you? But please take some chocolate though. Cock. Oh, cock. I thought you said talk. Well, it's about time somebody said cock on the show. What is this?
I don't know. Eat it.
You don't know what you've given me something soft
Cookie.
covered in sugar.
Cookie.
That's Turkish delight.
It's called the box.
Oh, it's terrible. Try some. Throw away.
It's just like a Christmas cookie that did get sat on at some point.
Throw away.
It's
Yuck.
Thanks, Lewis. Short and pointless. Come on, Alan, you didn't get that quote? Ghostbusters 2.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Lawyer.
Okay. Yeah. No, I got it.
Oh my god, that cookie was just yeah. Anyway, so overall, yeah, the film I think is very successful in what they're trying to do. It's not going to make everyone happy.
You know what was weird about it for me?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a bridge movie. It didn't feel like one where like you were expecting that there's going to be a third one. It almost feels like this is the end of this new trilogy right here.
Yeah.
Just my phone off my desk.
Okay. I was like, what the hell was that? No, I would agree, because it totally isn't that component is definitely not or sorry, it is definitely that what you're saying is that it's got these elements of it that are screw what came before. We're doing something so incredibly new that you're gonna like it or hate it, and it's gonna piss Dave off. So
I think it will.
I have absolutely nothing against doing new stuff.
No?
I wish they
actually,
had taken. Excuse the pun. I wish they had taken a page out of the various novels that have been written in the intervening. time.
I've actually read somewhere that Thrawn appears in Rebels. Is this right, Dave?
Yes,
Alan?
he is a
Yeah,
main character in Rebels, starting in season 3.
Okay, so yeah, is that actually what season are they in right now? What season are they in right now? I don't know what season they're in, so
They're in season 4, and this is the final season.
okay, so Thrawn is okay, so he's around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
I
now
mean,
that was Star Wars story done right.
yeah,
That
I mean,
trilogy of the Thrawn series,
yeah,
I love that stuff. It was so well done. It fit in beautifully to the story we already knew, but it was something completely fresh.
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
I
really
enjoyed it
well
as well.
done.
It's been a long time since I read it. Actually, I seem to remember reading it back in the early '90s when it first came out.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I liked it as much as you guys seem to have. But it's interesting how they've worked him into Rebels. It's a different story involving him, but he's got his Nogri assassin.
Is it pre or
there with him.
post? Is Rebels pre or post episode 4?
Pre?
Okay.
So it's just before Rogue One, which is before episode
Okay.
4 as well.
So I give it a thumbs up. I really think that it does the series justice, but again, I can see it definitely not because it's trying to break from the nostalgia, and I think that it does it very well. Which, as I said before, is kind of what Generations was trying to do. Was trying to break away from. We know you've watched 7, seasons of this show. But we need to get away from that, because they still have, pieces of DS9 and Voyager and stuff like that, on the air when that film came out. Because that film was 1994, and then we had, I think, the next Star Trek film was First Contact, which came out in '96. So they were still suffering from the expectation of audiences to go, we've been watching DS9. We know that your show's over, but DS9 is on now and Voyager's on now. And, we still have that expectation of what the show should look or what the movies should look like and that kind of stuff. So they were kind of hampered a bit. So
Yeah.
they at least tried a few things to kind of move stuff along without pissing off and alienating their audience. Because that's what Tom Hardy is for. No, Tom Hardy was great. I didn't mind the last Star Trek Next Generation film. I don't know why people don't like it. It tanked really hard, and for some reason people just didn't respond to it. Probably because they killed Data. But I hope I'm not spoiling anything for anybody. But it was 2003 when it came out. And I saw it in the theater, and I actually walked out going, you know what? Oh my God, they did. Because you have these actors, like Mark Hamill, who are like, these are the choices that I don't think Skywalker would ever make, but they're, I have to still tell the story that they want to, so I am a professional, I'll do it. And, it's kind of like Harrison Ford since, the early 80s, like, fucking kill goddamn fucking Han Solo already. And so that happened in the last film. Spoilers. And then, of course, you have, people like Brent Spiner, who has been playing an android for, umpteen numbers of years. And he's like, dudes, I'm kind of getting older, and I'm not going to necessarily look like I did when I, was in 1988 when the character started. So perhaps we should do something about it. Maybe we kill Data off, and do something else. And then they did. And then they had this weird twist of, Data's, or the body of B4 was found, and they transferred his consciousness into that. And, the body's not as advanced or whatever. but you know, he got to do something different even for only 5 minutes. You know, which I think for an actor is definitely more interesting than. Okay, I'm Data again doing the film. What stupid shit? I'm a flotation device. You know, you could tell that fucking Spiner was like, you know, I'm a flotation device. Really? I need an extra $500,000 to. You want me to say that bullshit? Pay the piper, assholes, or I'm out. You know, and what are they gonna do? Say we'll replace you? Yeah, right, sure. So
Puts a writer on his contract for shitty script writing.
you know, well, there's definitely some actors that are able to do that, right? But and I think Spiner would be definitely one of those actors would be like, you know, if you want me to say that, you know, I'm in the case of emergencies, I can also be used. I mean, here's a stupid thing about that whole line is that they established this whole thing where they're trying to figure out in Insurrection. They're trying to go, okay, there's something weird and shady going on in this planet. So let's go find out what that is. And it's like, hey, Data, there's something in that water. Go and walk along the bottom of the lake to find whatever the thing it is that we think is suspicious. And off he goes. And so, of course, he's an android. So he sinks down to the bottom. He walks along the bottom. He looks at fish and looks surprised at fish underwater, which I don't know, would be kind of interesting to do. But, you know, and then suddenly he's a flotation device. So I just thought that was just, yeah. It reminds me of the end as we've talked about before, the end of that thing called Enterprise, where the show stood on its own pretty well until the very last episode, where this, you know, the entire Star Trek universe took a big steamy dump on that series. So, you know, but quite honestly, I certainly hope that once in a while, or once at some point in the future, I'll be able to say, computer save and end program, and then everything shuts off.
All right.
I'm liking the direction the new show is taking.
I gotta say, I'm pleased.
I'm not caught up. I think I'm on episode 4.
Oh my god, you're only in episode 4? Jeez,
Yeah, I'm
man.
way behind.
You are going to be blown away.
Nice.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Shh, I'm trying to make it sound better than it really is. No, but seriously, it's you know, I gotta say,
I really thought the pilot was really, really well done.
they're doing exactly the same thing that the other shows that I've been yabbering at length about. Is that they're trying to make their own thing. They're trying to establish their own identity because they don't want to rehash what's come before.
Yeah.
But they also want it to look modern. So they've kind of taken all right, we've got all this cool shit that we've got from the old television programs from, you know, the 60s onward. And we've got these shitty movies that we don't really know what to do with because when Paramount says, you know, by the way, the new Star Trek movies, that's a different timeline from the originals. That's kind of like 1981 or 1985A. Which I think they're calling what are they calling it?
Huh?
Have you not heard this? The Star Trek timelines are called.
Yeah, so there's Prime.
Now that's the main timeline, but what is
Yes.
the
Is the Kelvin timeline.
Kelvin timeline? Thank you. Yeah, so those new movies are in their entirely different timeline,
Yeah.
which makes sense from the story, but still, that's kind of what's happening with the new show. They're trying to maintain the Prime timeline, but still take the visual stuff from the Kelvin films, and you know, lens flares and all that shit. So, but anyway, on that note, boys and girls, I'm gonna be quiet. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you guys for being here because, you know, you're the crafty boys. I did send out an invite to Locke, but of course he's up in the Muskokas in Ontario, so I don't know what his internet situation is. So unfortunately, he's not here. But that's okay. He's here in spirit. But then, of course, he'll be back at some point after school is done in the spring. So, Dave, take off your clothes. Alan, shave your head. And I am Shane, and I am now a Jedi Knight.
Sweet.